The league MVP, or the Most Valued Player award, is awarded in basketball to one player every season. This is called the League MVP award. This player is supposedly the most valuable player to their team. While the MVP award is usually a mix of media votes, stats, and a player's versatility, this 2022 to 2023 season we have multiple players who have all these traits. So what should determine who is MVP? Is it their stats? Is it what they symbolize? Is it their wins that they get for their team? Or is it completely up to the media? Tune in to find out. Hi, welcome to the CWH podcast. My name is Shilya Rankar. I'm a senior at CRLS and a recent basketball fan, and I'm here with
Abdul.
Hi Abdul, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, how are you?
I'm good. So tell me what you think should be the biggest factor in whether a player gets the MVP award at the end of the season.
I believe there's two factors to determine whether or not MVP candidate. I believe it's all about the media and their stats. If a player does well and is averaging a triple-double or is getting the most rebounds or most assists during the season, it's all up to the media to decide who they want to pick.
I think I agree with that. I think that, a player has to have like the stats, and the stats need to be good enough that they're recognized by the media, and therefore the media will, notice this player's performance and then think of them as the MVP. We seem to be running out of time, but thank you, Abdul, for being on my podcast.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
So when talking about MVPs, Abdul seemed to think that the two components were a player's stats and obviously the media vote. And I think that makes sense because, as I explained before, it goes hand in hand. If a player's stats are not good enough to be recognized by the media, then they will never be voted for MVP. So therefore, it makes sense that if a player's stats are good enough, they will be noticed by the media and therefore get more votes. Now let's hear what another student at CRLS thinks about the MVP award. Here with
Evan Garvey.
Hi Evan, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Shil?
I'm awesome. Okay. So my first question for you is, what do you think should be the deciding factors on who's the league MVP?
For me personally, I think it's a combination of their stats, their contribution to the team, so that how much the team is winning, how much their play actually affects the team, and also like intangibles, we're not really intangibles, but more like things that you can't see on paper, like how good their defense is, who their matchups usually are. Like if they're guarding a terrible guy, that means they're probably not very good at defense. And how much they get the ball. If someone is on a team who gets the ball every single possession and he's the main guy, he's obviously going to have better stats than a guy with a stacked team that isn't going to get the ball as much because there's better options, or there's other options. So I think you also have to take in a lot of factors instead of just looking at the stats themselves.
Okay. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that's a good metric to, determine who's going to be the MVP. Now, the second question I have for you is, so in regards to finals MVP, which is an MVP award that is awarded at the end of the final series of the championship, a player can have amazing stats but be on a losing team. Should these players be considered for the finals MVP award?
I mean, unless they're dropping like Wilt Chamberlain numbers, like 100 points and 50 rebounds, I really don't think so. Like, stats will only take you so far. Really, what you need for the finals is a win, which includes team play. You can't really just look at stats and make that guy the MVP. You got to look at who's winning, how he's actually playing, and all that. So
yeah, I completely agree. When I thought about this question, I thought, if you're the most valuable player on your team, shouldn't you be leading your team to a win? Even if you drop 50, you drop like 40.
Yes.
If you're not getting your team to the win, then are you really that most valuable player?
Completely agree.
Okay. And my final question for you is, players like Ja Morant, SGA, Luka Doncic, Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid are all putting up GOAT tier numbers. How do you think the MVP award for this season is going to look?
Personally, I think it's got to go to Jason Tatum. He's on a team where he still has like top 5 stats of all players, I think, right now. but he's on a team with so many options that he's not getting nearly as many repetitions as some of these other players. And his team is winning. He's number one in the East right now. So he's the main guy on the best team. He's putting up just as good stats as these other guys with less opportunities. And I just think it's got to go to him. Or if the season plays out differently, it's got to be the guy who is on a great team, who puts up like decent stats and is still doing defense, still passing the ball and making other guys better, not just himself.
Okay, I think that's a very valid point. You bring up some good points. Thank you for agreeing to talk to me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Celtics with 67 points with 6:45 remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Wow! He checked it. Steph for the win. Yes, sir! Luka with the step back three. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah!
This 2022-2023 NBA season has several MVP-worthy candidates. Some of them will have the best season of their career. However, only one can walk away with the league MVP. This is the CWH podcast, and thank you for tuning in, and have a great day.